1 second.
Does that look better? Awesome. What's up, guys? I want to talk a little bit today about film photography. In particular, being able to do film photography in Ireland. I was able to go last spring when I just started getting into film photography a little bit more, a little bit deeper. And I thought that at the time that I went, it would be an amazing experience for me to get a little bit more into film photography than I had already been. And in particular, my experience shooting Portra over in Ireland. I had an amazing experience doing that. I've had some great photos come out of it, particularly this one. I think we'll get to that one. It might be one of my all-time favorite photos I've ever taken on film. But I want to go a little bit with the experience of how it was to film or use film in Ireland. And I think to start there, we got to go to Dublin. And Dublin was actually the first time I ever used Portra 800. I've used 400 before and I've used 160 before, but 800, this was the first time. And I went with the 800 in Dublin to kind of do a little bit of a warm up because it has that little faster speed film and helped me capture some of those quick motions within a city that you couldn't really catch with a slower shutter speed with either the 160 or the 400. So I used that 800 as a really good warm up, and I really enjoyed some of the images that came out of that Portra 800. One of them was actually outside of the Guinness brewery. Horse coming down the alleyway next to the brewery, right in the doorway I was walking through, was able to capture a really cool photo that I enjoy. But again, it's a very good warm up for the west coast of Ireland that I really was excited to shoot. In using that 800, I was able to get a lot of alleyway shots or city town shots that I really ended up enjoying coming from that roll of 800. Then as we left Dublin, we went to the west side of Ireland, and particularly a town called Dingle. And there was where I was the most excited to spend some time doing some landscape photography. And this is the spot that I wanted to visit ever since starting to plan to Ireland. And one place in particular is called Dunmore Head. I've seen pictures of this multiple times through my planning of our trip to Ireland. And I ended up finding a spot that we stayed that was just 2 miles down the road from it. So I was very excited to get to the west side of Ireland. In the first morning that we stayed in Dingle, I actually got up before sunrise and made my way to Dunmore Head and hiked out to the cliffside out there. And to my shock, that I was completely alone. No one else was there. It was an amazing experience to kind of just take all that in of the cliffs in Ireland with no one else around. There I ended up getting some of my favorite digital shots from there. But I also got to end the roll of 800 there. And then that's when I was able to change my rolls into the Portra 400, which I was specifically keeping for this area because I know how Portra 400 shoots and how I like to shoot Portra 400. As I put the Portra 400 film into my camera, I took a few shots to advance the film to be ready for the sun to finally come over the hill behind me. And when it did, it lit up the water and the islands coming off the cliff unbelievably. The water turned into this aqua blue color that comes through on the film really well. And then the morning sun hitting the islands and having this just orange hue a little bit on the islands on top of the aqua water. It was just a beautiful image, and it's one of my favorites from this trip that I captured. But it's not my favorite. That one actually comes from the town of Dingle. Let me tell you a little bit about that one. So as we traveled through Ireland, one of the things we really enjoyed doing was going to these small towns and really experiencing these small towns. Finding cafes, grabbing a coffee from a local cafe, a pastry, enjoying that small town feel that Ireland provides. And Dingle is one of our favorite towns that we did that in. And I'm very glad we stayed a couple days in Dingle to experience it more than just a passing by. And one of those days we went and grabbed a cup of coffee, had a pastry, and then we walked around the town with our coffee. And we decided to walk around the waterfront where all the fishing boats dock after they're done fishing and unload their catch for the day. And they have this pier that all the fishing boats dock at and unload. So we decided to walk down it, just to walk a little bit, and we noticed there was a fishing net that was laid out all along the path of the pier. And so we walked past it, and it's full of shrimp and small fish and little tiny things stuck in the net. The seagulls loved it, right? So we're walking by, and there's just a bunch of seagulls flying around, trying to grab everything they can from the net. So as we got to the end of the pier, I turned around because we had to walk back. And the sight of these beautiful green nets just laying on the pier on the sides of the boat with the hills in the background and a little bit of the city showing along the water. A couple buildings were a little bit red, which I think played off really well with the greens. And I ended up deciding to take a shot with my film camera that I had the Portra 400 in. And film is one of those things where sometimes you just get very lucky. And at that moment when I had set all my settings up for the shot, a seagull decided that it was going to take off, and it decided to go over the water. So I got a little bit of an action shot with the seagull in it. But to me, this shot I absolutely love because of the color that the Portra 400 produced from me. The greens, the reds, the blues just is one of my all-time favorite pictures that I've ever taken. It's amazing. I actually have it hanging up in my house, in my hallway. My wife loves it just as much as I do. I think it's one of her favorite photos that I've ever taken. And it's with film, and I mostly do digital. So what camera did I actually shoot over in Ireland with? Well, I actually shot with my Olympus OM-2. This is my first film camera since I got back into film, and it's been an amazing little camera. The funny thing is the auto light meter does not work in this camera. So every photo I have to take using my phone's light meter app. And it makes me slow down a lot when I do film with that camera. So I'm actually a little bit glad that that light meter does not work, because I take a little bit more time to think about the composition, think about what I'm actually shooting, And I did that with this photo as well, because I've lined up a lot of different leading lines and angles, and it took me a little bit of time to think about how I wanted to show that. And I think it worked really well in this photo as well. I've got the leading lines coming from the right side with the nets and the pier, but then you have the other line of the shore with the houses and the buildings along the water going the other way. That kind of creates almost a triangle effect in the photo. So I enjoy that camera because it really slows me down. It really makes me think about what I'm photographing, why I'm photographing it. And in this day and age with digital, I think a lot of people just hold the button down without realizing it. I was doing it. But slowing down and really thinking about what I was doing and how I wanted to capture that moment in Dingle was perfect for that film shot. And man, did it pay off, because it's one of my favorite shots. So that's my experience shooting film over in Ireland. I really enjoyed shooting film over there. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my experience on shooting film over there. I think that trip was a big stepping stone for me to really get more comfortable in the film and the confidence that I can shoot those types of trips on film. It's led into me investing a little bit more into film photography, into film cameras, and I'm looking forward to see what else I can capture with film in the future. But I really hope you guys enjoyed listening a little bit, sticking around with me. So, till next time, appreciate it, guys.